Hello and welcome to this week's episode of So Fired. I'm Chelsea Toronto.
I'm Dr. Lindsay Regier.
And welcome. Every week on So Fired, we take life's shitty things and turn them into pretty things.
And we talk about all of our issues because they are never ending. And we laugh a lot along the way. And this week, we're going to talk about sex.
What? Crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't often talk about sex, but when we do, it's always a good time. But before we get to sex, what's your So Fired of the week?
Okay, so do you remember last year?
Yeah, sure do.
I think, or maybe it was the beginning of this year. I
remember.
literally can't remember time. But I was saying, okay, I want to be on the cover
Oh,
of
yes,
a
I do.
fitness
Yeah,
magazine.
actually, every time I look at a fit, oh, did it happen?
So I entered in to be on the cover of Hers Strength and Fitness magazine.
Okay.
And I got and I entered twice. So I got 2 emails being like, congratulations, you're part of the contest. Like, yay. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And this is kind of like the bummer part of it.
Oh.
It's a very long contest. And I feel like it's just a popularity contest.
Yeah, and you're going to win that bitch.
Yeah. So Fired, I need you to rally behind me.
What do you mean? Okay.
So it's kind of like, I'm kind of like I didn't even put in a good photo. So I'm like,
why the fuck?
I put in like a random like gym photo.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You didn't submit a good photo?
I mean, it was good, but it's not like professional. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know if they're going to use that one. I'm like, I don't know how well this is going to go. I was kind of just like really self-doubting myself. I wasn't really that excited about it, honestly.
Okay.
But
Things change.
yeah. But here's the So Fired part about it. I'm like, I manifested this. This is exactly what I wanted, was a chance to be on a cover.
I don't feel like that was the way.
No. But like, I mean, it hasn't even started yet.
You're going to win.
The voting starts, I think, in May and goes until the end of July.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate marathons.
It's like top 20, top 15, top 10, top 5. So, yeah, I don't know.
Ooh,
I'm
this
hoping
is gonna
I
be
can
a great
really
opportunity for us. You know, let me be the
Yeah,
head of your artistic campaigning.
Okay.
Because we'll come up with like a theme, and then
Totally.
and then we'll come up like a theme, your character, and then like the goal that you're striving for, and then maybe we reimagine what your workout stitch looks like,
Mm-hmm.
or find someone we want to emulate.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's some questions to answer, and I'm like, I don't know. This seems so hard.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, we'll do it together. So I guess maybe I like on the So Fired part about it. This is what I asked for. Was an opportunity.
It's okay if things are
so-
overwhelming when
yeah.
they become real.
Yeah. So hopefully it's something I can really sink my teeth into.
I look forward to being a part of this process.
What's your So Fired?
What is my So Fired? Oh, y'all know that I'm kind of navigating through uncharted waters, new territory of life as it comes to relationships and healthy and like. So, what was the phrase I told you yesterday?
Your emotional virginity.
I feel like I'm losing my emotional virginity.
Mhm.
So not knowing this, but I do have people I can rely on, i.e. I can go to Lindsay anytime. I'm like, is this me? The situation, like, is this me or is it like, I don't know, whatever. Like,
You're like, is this normal?
oh
or
yeah,
is
yeah.
this me?
Is this normal? Am I interpreting correctly, or is this just me kind of in my overly in my headspace, right? So I always check in with you, and you give solid advice every single time. So what do? Don't follow it ever.
ever?
Ever.
Ever. I'm like I don't really know why you asked me. I think it just slowed down your action. You're like, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna ask you, and then I'm gonna do the exact opposite.
Okay,
Like,
so yeah,
okay.
I'm starting to get that, and I apologize. It's just not as easy. Anyway, so there was a situation, a conversation that presented itself, and just like we described, it did the same thing. Hey, is this real or is this just me? And you said, just let the air, don't do nothing. Just like try and forget about it. Just sit with it. There's no action required here.
Nope.
Without saying totally in your head. What do? Fire off some text. Hey, buddy, blah. How about this? Was this me? Are we good? And the minute I hit send, I was like, the regret, like the disgust with myself there's a little bit of like loathing in this
Mm.
because you know what you're doing is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe when you binge shop or something.
Yeah,
You're like,
I'm
this
like,
feels
ooh,
good.
I just bought a bunch of stuff and I should not have been doing
And the
that.
regret.
Yeah.
Okay. So, however, here's the so fire. This is taking a very long time to get there. The person that I am newly becoming friends with is a fucking unicorn because was like received what I said, which until now would have been cast aside, made me feel stupid or emotionally needy or clingy or all those things. Instead was like, hey, let's take a moment and talk about this over the phone and talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
I was like,
He is out emotioning you. And like the novels that this person sends back is insane. And like the fact that you have met your match on such an emotional level is mind blowing. It's great. I love it.
I love it too. So, point being is, it's okay to take a risk, and you might not expect an upgrade.
Don't listen to your best friend's advice because clearly it doesn't matter.
It does matter. I'm sorry. Okay, issues.
Okay, so here's my issue. Kegels.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, I feel like we have been programmed
yeah.
to be like, you gotta do your Kegels, 3 sets of 10 every day or whatever. So I went to a pelvic floor physical therapist yesterday.
Why did you go?
Because she connected with me on Instagram and she was just saying, hey, I want to connect with you. Like, maybe we can like be good business referrals.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So I go into her office and we're just chatting and like she's telling me like how the whole thing happens. And she's like, well, do you want to get a pelvic exam? I'm like, I mean, I guess I'm here. So
Well, when they say pelvic exam, historically, I would think like that's what they say at the gynecologist.
yeah,
Is that
not too far off.
Okay. Okay.
So, okay, so I undress from the waist down.
Yeah.
You put your like sheet over you. She comes back in. There's not that like metal thing to pry you open.
Oh, the card
The like
car crank.
yeah, the hard crank. It's not that. It's just one finger. And
Her finger.
her finger. So this is what happens. So
Ew.
she
Inserts her digit.
not at first. She goes around and she feels all your muscles
so you're getting a
around.
massage, huh?
Yeah, like a little like, oh, how's this muscle going? How's this muscle going?
Oh my.
Yeah, and like feels for muscle tension around your vagina. Yeah. Uh-huh. And the whole time we're like facing each other chatting and like making eye contact and I'm like
you and your eyeballs and your eye contact.
and I'm like, I don't know if I should be looking at you right now or
It's like
not.
being serenaded.
And she's like walking me through it. She's like, okay, so now just on
Oh,
the
God.
outside. And then she's like, okay, we're going into the first layer, which is your first knuckle. And she's like feeling around. And then second layer, second knuckle,
Oh god.
feeling around. Third layer, this is the third knuckle. And that's when you really get deep into your pelvic floor and like your muscles inside your pelvis. And there's muscle knots inside of your pelvis that you can do a trigger point on. And you just hold the finger there and wait until the muscle
Can you
releases.
show me how to do this?
And like, so she was like, okay, do a Kegel. And I'm like closing my eyes, like concentrating so hard. I'm like, am I doing it? And she's like, no.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
You've never been doing it.
No, I've never been doing it. She's like, well, if there's like a flutter of a Kegel. Yeah.
What?
So she was saying, like, okay, if you ever have any leakage or like if you're jumping and you pee a little bit, or if you feel, you know, like something like that happening, it's actually because you've done too many Kegels and your pelvic floor is too tight.
No.
Uh-huh. So you got to get
My
up in
shit's
there.
too tight.
Your shit's too tight. So like while she's saying that, I was thinking, I'm like, I need to tell Chelsea all of this information.
How knuckle deep was she?
Like third knuckle deep. And I was like, all right, Chelsea, remember I wanted to tell her that.
Okay.
The fact that I was thinking about you while she was like fingering me was like really fucked up.
Okay. Can I just say for the record? I want it to be noted on the record officially that if the words I was thinking about you when I got fingered, if this was a show, like one of those quiz game shows,
Yeah.
and they said, who said this? I was thinking about you while I got fingered. What is Lindsay for 500? What is Chelsea for 500? every single So Fired listener would lose a limb.
100%. They would never pick me.
Because they would think it was me.
Yeah.
And I just want to go on the record and say, I can officially say I've never thought about you while getting fingered.
Well, theirs is a first time for everything. So,
And boy, do I feel
you
that.
know what, ladies? You probably don't have to do your Kegels as much as you think.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you finish up with that exam? What
Okay,
happens then?
so yeah, so she's like putting a pressure point inside my pelvic floor, and it's like
finger
a
banging the
pressure.
shit out of-
She's
yeah.
like finger banging me, and we're like chit chatting about all the things. I'm like, I like your pants. I'm like, what's my Abercrombie? She's like, no, H&M. I have to get them hemmed. They're too long. I was like, okay, like cool. And then she's like,
Meanwhile, you're like,
yeah. And I was like, the face that she's like, okay, try again to make a Kegel. And I like make this face like I'm concentrating so hard. She's like, that's the signature face that everyone makes.
oh man. Well, is it this? That's what mine would be.
I was like, I kind of looked
at
up
the
and away,
ceiling.
and then I was like squinting my eyes. I'm like, I'm concentrating so hard. And
So it shouldn't be that hard, huh?
should not be that hard. So, ladies, if you're leaking, don't do any more Kegels. You
Done
actually got to
and-
get up in there, go to your pelvic floor PT, or use your own finger, I guess, and release those trigger points.
Can you
So,
say anything more about that?
so breathing is super important.
Yeah.
We were doing a breathing exercise
Together
also
while
she
she
was
was-
3 knuckles deep in me. She's like, okay, squeeze together at the end. I
I
was
think
like,
I need to do this.
you should totally go do it. Like, just to have the experience.
I can't wait to circle back.
Yeah.
So does she then recommend like treatment?
So, yeah, so then the treatment is that I have to work on some breathing techniques. And you sit on a ball, like one of those big Swiss medicine balls, and you lean forward and you do a breathing
What's
exercise.
a Swiss medicine ball?
Those like big squishy yoga balls.
The ones you
Like-
sit on?
Yeah, the ones you sit on.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you like lean side to side and do some breathing exercises. And then I could go back like and have her release some trigger points.
And that's it?
And that's it.
It's a
Mhm.
one and done?
I mean, you could, well, yeah, for me, because I don't really have any issues going on.
Oh, okay.
But if you do have issues going on, it's usually
I
like
can't
once a
wait to
week or
work on
once
the
every other
vaginal
week.
issues I have.
Yeah. Because if you have pain when you orgasm, she can fix that. Yeah, I know.
I don't.
You know, if you're leaking, she fixes that. Yeah, any kind of like pain in the nether regions, she can help you with.
So stupid. You say stupid shit sometimes. I love it about you. I don't know if that sounds mean, but I just say stupid shit. I have an issue. My issue is, was that your issue?
That was my issue.
I gotta say it because so we can keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. I have an issue that the only thing that really gets me motivated sometimes is external motivation from like situation or like others, right? Like,
Mhm.
why can't you just be like excited to get out of bed and like live the day because it's just me?
I hear that all the time on the personal development podcast. It's like, I don't wake up motivated. I just got to force myself to do it.
Yeah.
But I also love the external motivation.
Yeah. Like, oh, like, let's go to yoga together. Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, or even this is probably not healthy. It's like, oh, you get like text or communication, and then that now is the icing on the cake.
Mhm.
Where I was used to not eating cake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
life just wasn't that great. And so now it's like, oh, it's only like, I'm only really pumped if that happens. And I hate that I can't just be happy with what you have. I know, but that's just not that exciting.
I know. But then that's also like, I know. That's also why I need like, if I'm feeling really bad about myself, I have to post like some picture of me on Instagram looking pretty good just so I can get
Oh.
like some likes and being like, damn girl, you look good. I'm like, thanks. I really needed that today.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that.
Every once in a while. I actually did that this morning because I hated every single outfit that I was putting on my body.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I look okay in this one. So I posted it on Instagram and I got like 5 messages being like, you look so good, blah, 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 blah.
That's nice that it makes you feel good. Usually I'm like, I want a bowl of popcorn with extra butter and a venti before 9 a.m. Stat. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a piece of shit now. I'll get up.
While you're trying to talk me into like a sweet cream cold brew extra whip foam up on top.
Today was an extenuating circumstances. I couldn't sleep. Those cappuccinos are effective.
They are.
Okay, so that's issues. So today's topic, we're going to talk about
We're talking about sex
and
transactions.
transactional sex or transactions and relationships. So ready?
Yeah.
Saturday night, Lindsay and I had one of those, like, if you're lucky, like Haley's Comets kind of Saturday nights where it may happen twice a year. The stars were aligned. Lindsay was without her husband this weekend, although it was tough. She said she would go out with me on Saturday. So we went dancing. Whiskey Row. And we had a really good time. Boy, did we ever. We're 2 stems in. And we're just having the time of our lives. Like, we just know it's kind of like a lot. Oh, you're not going to appreciate this, but like a live, if you go see like Fish, like a jam band, and like, the structure of the song, like, the song that they're about to play, but you don't know where the jam band session of this particular song is going to take you, but it's going to be pretty cool. And then you like experience it with somebody special and you're like, that was magical. So that's what Saturday night was like. So we get there and the entire, careful what you wish for. We are a bunch of weirdos. Here's what we have to say. So the dance floor is completely empty.
Empty.
And
It's like 11 p.m.
Oh, yeah, there was no one there. It was like weird. And then we're like, there's no one here. Meanwhile, the whole time we are normally there dancing, we're like, ew, don't touch us. Don't talk to us. Ew. We had the whole dance floor to ourselves, with the exception of about 8 people, 4 of which were men, maybe late 50s, overly stocky. They still go to the gym quite a bit, like kind of bodybuilder.
Kind of bodybuilder-ish, spray tans.
Yeah, short cropped hair.
Yeah.
You know the type. Now, they were in the company of 4 women. All very skinny, attractive, somewhat scantily clad, just tight. The joke is, and I know our so-followed listeners will understand this because that one time I showed a reel of my feed. So my feed is, there was a girl who had like an acceptable outside, like what looked like a harness on.
Yeah.
Like a sexual harness.
It was like a harness, but also like a bra underneath and like
bandage.
A bandage.
Okay.
A bandage bra, a bandage skirt.
I'm not doing a very good job. 4 women, tight skirts, tight tops, very short skirts. And the 4 women were at times either 2 of them were dancing with themselves or like one was like leaning up and like doing like a 90-degree angle into her male date.
Yep.
And and then kind of giving the ass wiggle. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, it's okay. So we're seeing some things that are going on that are like questionable with not knowing exactly what's going on initially. So then we're seeing like girl on girl, and then we're seeing like girl on guy, and then he's kind of got like, even though still clothed and in the VIP section, this is still very visible for the entire dance floor.
Because there's literally no one there.
No one there except us. And now it's like us just standing across the dance floor staring at these people.
Yeah.
And he's like thrusting into them. At one point, it got really raunch. And
this guy
went down
on this girl
on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
So, okay, long story short, transactional. I took it upon myself to come to this, like, okay, so what I'm surmising that they maybe are Saturday night girls. There's a lot of language that's like associated, and I don't know, because you know what? There was a point in which the 4 of us were all, so the 4 gals and ourselves, and they're like, oh, to Lindsay and I, they're like, oh, is this a typical Saturday night? And we're like, no,
not at all. Like, I never get out.
This is fucking out of this world.
Yeah.
Exciting. I was like, what about you? And she said, yes. I said, how do you do it? Not knowing really what I was asking at the time. Just trying to like, lady to lady, getting tired. Saturday nights are not as easy to like summon the energy. And she's like, well, you got to pay rent.
Yeah.
I went, oh. So it was at that moment after we're watching all these things going down, and you could see, Lindsay, God, your eyeballs, I swear to God, they get you in the most trouble all the time.
My stupid eyeballs, my stupid Disney princess eyeballs, betrayed me.
So she was looking in the direction of the girl, and what was happening? Some guy was like ramrodding her.
Yeah, he was like ramrodding her from behind.
With clothes on.
With clothes on. But like her skirt is so short, like not really clothes on. And then she like looked over at me while this is happening. And I was like, I locked eyes and I'm like, I want to look away and I can't look away. And like, I don't know how to help you in this moment right now because I feel so bad for you. And like, but you got to do it. And like, you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And like,
huh? It's not easy.
No,
so Lindsay gets scarred from this. And it's like, so we're sitting there now. We've been laughing so hard that now we're just seated on the sofa and just kind of like processing as things go. And I can't speak for your relationship, but I know that look in that poor gal's eyes that it was like, let's just do the thing so we can complete the contract that has been offered and then accepted. Mm-hmm. There's like 3 things that is the definition of a contract.
Yep.
I don't remember them all, but it was like, let's just
finish out what I agreed upon
contractually
for today.
I'm obligated to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just have to do with Saturday night gals. Like, I think about my situation. Like, are all relationships transactional, right? I mean, like, you do got to get your rent paid, right?
Gotta get your rent paid. I gotta get my groceries paid for. I gotta get my car insurance paid for.
I know, right?
And it's like, okay, but when you first start off dating someone, it's like less transactional, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just fucking love you and I want to like have sex with you all the time. And like, this is so hot. And then it kind of just becomes part of the routine. I don't know if it does become a little bit transactional at some points where it's just like, well, this is what's expected now. So this is part of like what we're doing. And it's like, well, I better because like you gotta like reciprocate the generosity. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's like transactional in marriage. I don't really I don't use that word. It's just like expected. And I mean, usually like,
oh, that's better.
It's like,
that's 100% better.
But I go in phases. Where I'm just like, okay, let's do it. Like, cool. And then I go in phases where I'm like, yeah, like I fucking love this. And like, I get so into it. So I don't know, like what changes. It probably depends on my stress level.
For sure. I hear that's the thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, if I'm not stressed, I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, I'll put on this cute little outfit and like do the thing. Sometimes, it's in the morning. I'm like, I have 2 minutes. Let's go. Maybe that's a little transactional.
I can't really speak.
But I love my husband very much, so let me put that disclaimer out.
I'm not transacting in that way under my roof.
No.
I'm actually not really in a transaction.
You're not transactioning anything.
You are lucky to have my bitchy presence and I'll pay my shit. But what I do have to say is I did a reel and I thought it was brilliant, but nobody really gave me. So if you make a reel that's brilliant and nobody likes it, is it really a brilliant reel?
Maybe it was just before your time, Like
no, but here's what I said.
What'd you say?
I said sometimes you got to sell your soul in order to get a new pair of souls. And I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna get like a Pulitzer Prize. That is the most clever thing anyone's ever said.
And everyone was like,
yeah. I don't know that they read. They just look.
I think they just look.
That makes me
the words don't matter.
I would agree with what you're saying. New relationships are not transactional. Is it the traditional construct of marriage in which things become, I don't know, like those Saturday night girls. I do think that like money exchanged, I don't know. Like when do our like intimate relationships become transactional and why do they have to become?
I don't know. It's almost just because maybe transactional isn't quite the right word, but like it just becomes routine.
It's literally the word of our episode.
I know. Okay, I guess maybe like routine. It just becomes
obligation.
A little bit, but not all the time. But I would say, yeah, there's definitely an expectation to be met. Because when you're first dating someone, you don't have to hook up with them.
Isn't that some?
Yeah.
Sometimes just hand holding is a straight shot to the heart.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I do miss like the making out phase and just like Will we or won't we? I don't know. Are we going to go for it or not? Haven't hooked up yet. Ooh. That's a pretty hot stage. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that look is on your face, but
What? I'm just sitting here smiling.
there's like a smirk.
No, it's not. You're a smirk. I just think sex makes things funny.
Yeah.
You know, because you're cool. You're like walking down the street like normal, like just doing your life. And then somehow sex makes things just a little like sideways. You get 3 knuckles deep and everything turns just a little on its side.
All of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that about myself. Like,
Your pelvic floor?
yeah. I was very informed yesterday.
I look forward to going to this
Mhm.
experience.
You should totally go.
I hope I have not, so she has to massage.
Also, like, you know, like these romance novels that we read or like the chick porn that we read.
Right.
Okay, some of them are sweet. Like, what was things that we never got over?
Yes, that was lovely. I miss it.
Knox and whatever. What's her face? Daisy.
Yeah,
Okay, that was like a good book. That was hot. That was like normal,
I was.
consensual sex. Okay, so
Did
then
you hear the worst?
this is what happens when you're on your Kindle. They're like, "Oh, you like this book?
Yeah.
You should try this series."
Yeah. And
So-
Lindsay gave me a Kindle, so I am step for step. Okay, go on.
Okay, so it gives a recommendation. Like, you should try this series about the LA drug lord.
That was me, though.
That was you.
Because it was on my Instagram
yeah,
feed. Because my Instagram knows that I
Oh.
like bondage.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you're like, "You should read this book." I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a go." I think it's like 30 pages in. And she's already like ramrodding her. And in these books,
Yeah.
I am questioning whether or not I should call the fictional police on
Because there is crime being happened.
There's crime happening.
And by crime, I mean they're being sexually assaulted, and we're like sitting there reading it and like, oh, this is hot. Which this
Yeah.
goes back to our Saturday night. That women now this is like a fictional genre that we're all really gravitating towards. It feels like if you're a rom-com, how would you shorten this?
The genre?
Yeah, the book, the genre book that we're or the
Oh, it's like chick porn.
all right, chick porn.
Mhm.
There's no way of cutting that short. But it does seem like, in addition to transactional, what I noticed on Saturday night was there's this like female energy that has turned very masculine. That you have this like raunch, twerky kind of like lady rap genre out there on a musical level. And it's always like, meh. And they're always like tongue between their legs or like wanting to like hip thrust another woman. So now it's like women are now masculatingly like in a masculine way, or like dominating ourselves. So it was, for the longest time, it was just dudes dominating against us. So now we have, while we're empowered, our empowerment is turning to this negative, like masculine energy where we're now like perpetrating others. So the way in which we physically saw this, I'll get back to the book, but the way in which we physically saw this was in the dance circle, you know, like when they're doing a break dance, like dance circle. Women had other women bent over and they were like ramming into them. And you're like, one time you don't even think twice about it. Okay, yeah, like twerking. It makes sense when you're on a Saturday night dance floor and everybody's into it. But I saw it so much. And like women on top of women, I wasn't alarmed by it, but it was a very noticeable presence that the feminine mystique, the energy has become very masculine and now perpetrating others. Also in this book where it's like our entertainment, we're turning on ourselves internally and we don't even know it. Right. And so getting back to our Saturday Night Girls, we wanted to poke fun, look at them, snicker, until you and I looked at each other and were like, oof, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And so it's important to remember, like, still remember these are our fellow ladies and we got to take care of it because, like, otherwise literally no one's going to take it. Like, we're now feasting on each other. And I had so much compassion and that, that feeling.
I know. I was like, I wish I was super rich and I could buy you out for the rest of the night so you could go home.
Yeah.
And go to bed.
Yeah. Because you know what it feels like to have to go out on a Saturday night and like have to wear something tight when you don't feel like it. Like one of their skirts didn't fully zip all the way up.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it was just like heartbreaking because we barely liked going out on Saturday night,
I know.
period. And to know that you're like financially required, while we weren't perpetrating anything against them, I didn't feel good about myself until we had that paradigm shift in which we were like, oh man.
I know.
I wasn't like, I just felt bad.
Same.
Maybe bad's not the right word, but like I was a little more mindful and just a little more empathetic. And yeah. And I don't ever like the thought of someone being laughed at. That
No.
kind of triggers something in me. And it I shouldn't be the one laughing.
Right.
So, but yeah, it just feels like whether it's transactional or not, I just feel like women are kind of always in a precarious position.
I know, because it's like, yeah, go you. Like, you own your body. You can do whatever you want with it. But then also it's like, damn, you have to like do this to like get your rent paid. And then these girls twerking on the dance floor with each other. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, you guys got good moves, which is awesome to see.
Right.
And they're kind of like pushing all the boys out. Like, we don't need you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Is it like overcompensation?
It felt raunchy. It felt
like
like
a little raunch.
I don't mind raunchy, but it felt like angry.
Yeah.
It felt like not that they were raping.
No.
Not like the rom-com book.
not like the books that we read.
It's like violent chick porn. It's
yeah.
I don't even think that that's the right language because it's like S&M chick porn or something.
Totally.
It's like a niche-y, ugly underbelly type of, and that we keep reading because Amazon thinks that this is okay now, where these women are being like.
And then I was like, oh, maybe at the end of this book, like what happens in the relationship, or like what's the plot of the storyline? I keep reading to get to like the end of this book to see what happens. You won't stop. I know. I had to stop. I was like,
did you read the Queen one?
Queen of LA? I think I did. Actually, I don't know if I finished it.
I know. I'm having a really hard. If I don't like start something and like plow in, Blake is reading this book that I bought 2 years ago at Estes Park.
Oh.
At the bookstore.
Oh.
You went home on Sunday. Sunday was the day we went to the bookstore.
Yeah.
And it's called The Overstory, and it is very hard reading. And like the font is really tiny, and it's like it won the Pulitzer Prize, and like it's about a tree, but the reversal of a tree and then they ground together as roots, blah blah, and each chapter is a different story. It's like kind of in over my tips in terms of reading.
Yeah.
I was left to like snoop around. He told me to snoop around. I just looked at his bookshelf and he has it there and he read it and I was like,
that's the kind of intellect we're dealing with here.
It's so great.
Like, can't you read like a fun book? Do you want to read Queen?
No, it was like, do you want to read that with me? And then I'll be the male character and you be the female character, and then I'll slap your ass. How do you like it? Yeah, no. So I remember what the point of that was, but it's not sexual porn.
No. Yeah, I think it's just like funny that like seeing these girls in real life, it's like, oh God, this is kind of making me uncomfortable for you. Painful. And then reading in a book, we're like, okay, cool. And then if someone does this again in real life, like I was telling you, Armie Hammer got canceled because he has like a weird fetish about being a cannibal.
Right.
And I was like, but if we read that in a book, we'd be like, okay.
I would like that. I wouldn't mind if Armie Hammer took a bite out of me.
I know, like he's pretty hot.
He's kind of hot.
Yeah.
He's really hot.
He's like really hot.
Oh my God.
I think the reason he got canceled was because he's not quite famous enough to get over the hump of a scandal.
I'm not going to hold it against him. What did he do?
He was just hooking up with girls that are like younger than him. Not young, like legal age. Legal age.
How is this a problem?
I think they all just like turned against him and they were like, he took advantage of us and like we didn't like it. I'm like, well,
you ruined it for everybody. Yeah. You know what, you guys? The last time we give you a chance at this.
It was a transaction at the time and they didn't follow through on the contract of the NDA.
Oh, look at you. Mm-hmm. In terms of social pop media, I know you just said this has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Did you see this yesterday? It's such a bummer. Like, humanity sucks. When the Dalai Lama asked that child to suck on his tongue.
I know.
Come on, what is
like,
that?
What?
Oh, please. And then Cardi B's like...
Cardi B was like, that's messed up.
And she's like, yo, if you know it's coming from me, shit's wrong. And you're like, she's not wrong.
I know. I'm like, what? And is that the first time that's ever happened? Or is he like getting dementia and he doesn't know what he's doing anymore?
You worked at a nursing home. You know those bitches are not like, suck my tongue. I'm losing.
Dude, no, when I worked in a nursing home, This is a true story. Donovan, he was a newer resident, and Dolly, she was there for quite a long time. She had dementia. Donovan was there because he had a drinking problem. And he kept on falling in his shower at his house
Oh.
because he would get drunk and he would pass out in the shower. So Donovan was trying to hook up with Dolly. So Donovan was like, they hooked up in the nursing home. And Dolly was like getting taken advantage of because she's not of the right mind to say yes or no. And she would come out crying. And we're like, we can't like stop them from hooking up. So like I felt so bad for her. And Donovan was like this dirty old man. And he would like get drunk and like ride around in his scooter and like try hook up with her. So yeah, even if it is like an older person, that's not an excuse.
Oh, yeah.
It was so sad.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I know a story
Yeah.
in a nursing home.
And I had to like shower him, and
Oh,
it was
come
like it was messed up, and he got like one shot every 8 hours of alcohol.
Yeah.
We had to give it to him, but then he just started drinking mouthwash.
Yeah.
with
My
alcohol.
grandmother did that too.
Yeah. So I don't know. These older folks just don't give a fuck anymore. They just like can't.
I don't actually think anybody gives a fuck.
No.
They're like, eh. So speaking of not giving a fucks in a nursing home.
Yeah.
I knew this lady. She was a sassy old lady.
Yeah.
Kind of like Blanche Devereaux from the Golden Girls. Okay. That doesn't land. She was kind of one of those ladies who was like flitzing around, kind of still feeling herself late into like life, like 60s.
Yeah.
I don't want to say me, but like short skirts and like heels and like. So this lady I know still feeling herself and still has a strong sex drive despite the fact she's going into a nursing home. And by a strong sex drive, I mean, she was looking to have male companionship while in the nursing home.
Of course.
As nursing homes go, frequently it's like 90 to, it is probably 98 to
Oh yeah.
to like
Ladies to
female,
men.
male
Yeah.
residents. Anyway, so she crawls in. There's one dude, but the dude's already spoken for this woman who looks like death is about to like knock on her door. Anyway, woman I know crawls into his bed, gets naked, surprises him so that when he comes back from the dining hall in the nursing home at 5, when he pulls the sheets back, surprise.
Oh my gosh.
And she was expelled from the nursing home.
Oh.
So
she's
it's
trying to get too many transactions going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that backfired. And I don't think it matters what age you are.
Mhm.
Sometimes those transactions are regardless.
Yeah.
It's a story you hear every day.
Well, I feel like I learned and informed so much today.
Same.
Lesson learned. You don't have to do Kegels, probably.
Probably. I'm not a doctor.
Go to your pelvic floor physical
I
therapist.
cannot wait to have that experience. Shocker. Oh, man.
Okay, so make sure that you are following us wherever you get your podcasts. So on iTunes, on Spotify, on YouTube, on Google, etc. And please give us a 5-star review about how amazing and how funny we are, because that helps us reach more people just like you. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The stories and statements expressed herein are experiences and opinions. They may not represent the views of the production studio or the hosts. If you disagree with our content, that's okay. No podcast is perfect for everyone.